the kingdom of heaven does not arrive with signs to be observed. Literally, it says that. You can't say, there, or look, here it is. Many things were already said, which are quite obvious, but the thinking mind immediately got in there and made it into some belief structure. So we have the insane ego, and at the same, this continuing, you can see it reflected. You see it reflected in world history, 20th century, the height of insanity and of unbelievable madness. And that still continues. If you want to see the reflection of the human collective ego, you can see it by reading the newspaper or watching the news tonight. And then you say, oh, yes, this is mad. Yes, it's mad. I can see it's mad. So it's good, we've been talking about these things because it is good to recognize madness as madness. Because the madman, and there's nothing personal in this madness, it's something that is collective. If a mad person recognizes his or her madness, then he or she is no longer completely mad. Because the truly mad person has no idea they are mad. That's why they're mad. But if you know there's something that says, oh, this is truly mad, the way I am thinking. Look at my thoughts. For 1 hour I've been lying in bed between 4 and 5 in the morning and thinking about my problems. This is mad. This is mad. So there's the ability arises to be aware of what your mind is doing. And that is the beginning of sanity, or rather the arising of a deeper dimension of consciousness that has nothing to do with the conditioned stream of thinking. And this is let's just put it like this for a moment, the new state of consciousness that is arising in large numbers of humans on the planet now, for the first time in large numbers. Not the majority of the population, of course. How many? I don't know. My intuitive answer, which I gave the other day when somebody interviewed me and said, well, tell me how many people are actually awakening. I don't know how many. I'm in a peculiar position. It seems to me that almost everybody is awakening. And I need to switch on CNN or some other station to realize, no, not everybody is awakening yet. But for some reason, intuitively, I said, I don't know how many. I guess it's about 10% in the Western world. The rest I don't know. But the Western world and some of the Eastern world, it's about 10%. And this is not arrived at through any research. I don't do research. Just an intuition of that's about right. And now I'm not saying that 10% are already completely disidentified from their thinking mind and are already 100% aligned with the deeper presence. That's a word we could use to describe the consciousness that is deeper than the stream of thinking. No, there are many who are now undergoing this process of a gradual disidentification of now we have to be careful with language, because when we talk about these things, using language, which basically is about objects, where language works okay, say, the chair is here and I am sitting on the chair. Okay, that's not problematic. But when we talk about something that is beyond the physical realm, the language is no longer adequate. Knowing that it's not adequate, we can continue to use it. If we believe that I'm actually saying the actual truth is not in the words, if you think it's in the words, then you're lost in the mind again. So the awakening process is a gradual disidentification from the stream of thinking, where you become aware, for example, that there is thinking in your mind. It can begin with, and I'm not talking to people who have no idea what I'm talking about. Many of you, if not all, are already going through the awakening process. How do I know that? Because you're still sitting there. You would have walked out. Or maybe one or two have such willpower that they're forcing themselves not to walk out. I mustn't walk out because then everybody will think I'm not awakening. Another way of not being here is to look, always continuously look around and say, I wonder if he's awake. Or he surely is not, he can't be awake. A gradual disidentification where you're able to see what your mind is doing. For many people, it begins with becoming aware of repetitive and dysfunctional, negative thoughts that they have every day, or recurring thoughts, have had them for years, thoughts that have made them miserable, created dreadful suffering and misery because they didn't know that they were just thoughts. They were so identified with the thought, there was no space. So the thought was considered to be absolute reality. Sometimes it may be early conditioning from childhood, certain negative thought patterns. If your mother or your father were unconscious, they probably gave you many negative thought patterns. Some children are taught some parents tell their children, you are stupid. Can you imagine that? When a child drops something, a 4-year-old, the mother or father says, you are so stupid, why did you do that? No, of course, it's usually stupid parents who do that. And then, this is just one simple example, there's a mind pattern sudden in the child, it's the mother's or father's voice. It says, you're no good, you'll never amount to anything. I'm using one simple example. One could write volumes of books about ways in which the human mind gets conditioned at an early age. And then the conditioning remains in the mind as repetitive thoughts, sometimes triggered by certain situations. They may not be there continuously, only certain situations will bring them up again. And then you suffer. The emotion that you feel when you think that thought is very painful. But you are not present, you are identified then completely with the arising thought. You and the thought are one. You are the thought. To you, the thought is the reality. And the beginning of awakening for many people is the ability to see these are the kinds of thoughts that habitually I tend to think, or rather, that habitually tend to arise in my mind. And then you suddenly realize it's a thought, no more than that. And you begin to no longer believe in every thought that comes, every judgment, every interpretation about yourself, what you're telling yourself about your life.